everyone doing? We're back here with the 501 Social Podcast. This is René. I'm here with
Ready?
J. B.
Q.
All right, guys. So our topic for tonight and the topic for this episode is actually our role models. So we'll actually be touching on our influence and people that have influenced our life going forward and everything of the sort. We'll get to know ourselves a little bit more. You guys will get to know us a little bit more. So we'll start off tonight with V, as we've been doing several of these episodes and it's been all males starting off. So we'll start off with V tonight, and then from there we'll go around the table.
Okay. Well, for me, I've only had a handful of role models that I can think of. And I think the first one is pretty common. One of my biggest role models is my mom. And I think she's been my role model since I was very young, since I was old enough to even understand what the word role model means. And I think for my mom, it was what I learned from her, why I looked up to her, is because she kind of showed me what it was like to be imperfectly perfect in some type of way. Because my mom by no means is a perfect mother, a perfect person, but she always tries to be perfect. And she always does things so unselfishly and so wholeheartedly, and she always means the best for everyone. And growing up with somebody like that, I always look to her and think, oh, if my mom was in this situation, she would do it this way, or she would handle this situation that way. So growing up, I really looked to her just for advice and how to handle situations. And as I got older, I'm not gonna lie, I think I kind of switched over to what a lot of people I think can relate to, is like finding role models that are on the TV, right? So for me, a big passion of mine is music. I love music. I always love listening to all types of music. And people that know me know this very well. I'm a huge K-pop fan. And the first band I ever got into was BTS. And them on a whole are kind of like role models on their own. But I'll just touch on one of the members, whose name is Kim Namjoon. And the reason why I picked him today to discuss is, for me personally, and I think I touched on it a couple of other episodes, I struggled a lot in my youth and even now with, depression, anxiety, and not really feeling like I fit into what people would call like normal. In a sense, I've never felt like I fit in with everybody. I always felt very alone. So when I found the group BTS and I listened to their music and I listened to what they stand for, I really loved the way they made me feel accepted. And I think that's a part of the definition of role models, is how they handle situation, how they make you feel, what did they teach you. And for me, one of the biggest things that I learned from them that I didn't think a lot of people told me was that you don't have to fit in with everyone. You just have to find a group of people that accept you and understand you, and you just have to stick with those people. And I never knew that. I always walked around and thought, oh, I have to make everybody like me, or everybody should like me. And if somebody didn't like me, I was failing as a person, or like I was, like not normal. And so Kim Namjoon really inspired me, mostly because he touched a lot on topics that I related to. So he made me, in a way, feel heard and understood. And one of the most powerful things I ever heard him say is, what is loving yourself? What does that mean? And he said that changes from person to person. There's no one way of loving yourself. And I really needed that, because I tried, people do things like, oh, I go to therapy. Oh, I go get my nails done. Or I do this and do that. And sometimes that didn't work for me. And I felt like, oh, I was failing, or I wasn't trying hard enough. And when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, wow. I've never heard somebody say that there's different types of way you can love yourself. And he said, loving yourself is a life's journey, because every day, and till however long you live, you're always going to be finding ways to love yourself. And it's not just something you can achieve today or tomorrow or next week. It's a journey through the entirety of your life to find a way to love yourself. And it's a life mission to love yourself. And I think that's why I really connected a lot with this group, because for me, I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I've never seen or heard people talk about stuff like this in Western media for me. And it was so refreshing, and it was so, it was something I needed to know and needed to learn at that time. And he's always been a role model for me ever since, because the way he carries himself, he's not disrespectful, he is well spoken, and he tries to accept everything, everyone. It doesn't matter what kind of background you're coming from. He tries to accept everybody and make everybody feel accepted without changing who he is personally. And I think for me, that was one of the biggest things I took away from him. And I always try to remember that. And when I'm having rough days, I go back and I listen to some of his songs or even some of his interviews that he does, and it helps me feel heard and consoles me in a way. So I think for me, my two biggest role models in my life is my mom, who I know personally, and then Kim Namjoon, who I don't know personally, but has taught me stuff that I really needed to know. So that's my sharing for today.
Nice.
Okay.
I have one question.
Okay.
Who introduced you to the guy?
Well, I found them on my own. Really, I guess you could say YouTube. I remember at the time, I'm a huge boy band fan, by the way. I was watching One Direction. One Direction were broken up. And I was watching a video, and they got in my recommended feed. And I was like, well, this is new. Where is this coming from? So I clicked on it, and I listened to the song. And the song was called Mic Drop. No, it wasn't called Mic Drop, sorry. It was called Dope. And I was like, oh, I like this. And so I listened a little more and a little more. And as I continued diving into the group, I kept finding out new things and what they stood for. And they were starting their first album trilogy, which was calling the Love Yourself series. And when I first got into them and I heard those albums come out, it was just like I was in love. It was just like, yes, this is what I was missing. So yeah, nobody introduced me to them. They just, I guess by the grace of God, showed up in my recommended feed, and they have been a part of my life ever since. And honestly, they're not going anywhere. So yeah.
Nice. I mean, not everybody can find hope from a musician. You know, I think that's something very unique. And, you know, I know, like, I was growing up, rappers were like my generation, you know. But they had like people that were my uncle's favorite. My uncle's favorite band, I believe he told me once. He said he liked Nirvana, and his favorite artist was like the lead singer, Kurt Cobain. So, and he was like and then you know you do research, and I found out like people found him like to be a poet more than like an actual singer and stuff like that. So that's cool to hear her like bringing on an artist as one of her role models. Really.
Yeah, so that was good, V. You know, role models are just people who have impacts on our lives and things that we can have and look to actually say, you know what, this is something that I strive to be, or someone that understands where I currently am. So yeah, I do understand. You actually turned me on to K-pop. I still am not a huge fan of it like yourself, but I do know some artists and I listen to some songs, and yeah, it's really good. I'm you know, I'm not an avid listener, but yeah, I listen to it. Go ahead.
I just want to interject for the people around the table here. The 5 qualities of role models are passion and ability to inspire, clear set and values, commitment and to community, selflessness and acceptance of others, and ability to overcome obstacles.
Nice. So 5 points. Those are the 5 points to be a role model.
Yeah, and
what makes up a role model?
Yeah, what makes up a role model. And for me, like I said, my mom and a member of BTS, Kim Namjoon, really ticks off all those boxes for me. And yeah, you don't have to be an avid listener to K-pop.
I got another question. Is it because he's the most handsome guy in the band, or is it just because what makes him different? I'm thinking you said it's a band, so it's more than one person,
Yeah.
and I think it exceeds 3 because then they would be known as a trio.
Yeah.
So then it's a band, so it's like about 5, 6, so many guys.
7 of them. And he's not even my bias in BTS. My bias, if you don't know what bias is, sorry, this is coming to a K-pop. This is turning to a K-pop, but my bias is literally just like your favorite one in the group. And my bias isn't Kim Namjoon. My bias is Jungkook in the group. But the reason I picked him is because he's the leader. So he represents the group. So that's why I picked him, because he's the one that always like talks on behalf of the group. So maybe it's not just his thoughts. Maybe it's all the other members' thoughts as well. But he represents them. So he talks on behalf of them. So that's why I picked him as the person to talk about today. Because he's the one, like, I guess, explained it better than the rest of members.
Okay. So at this point, I don't know if our host Renee, I don't know if he wants to go with the next girl or he wants me to go.
I think we should change it up. We always leave Ray for like almost to the end of it, and then when he gets going, it's always we always jump in and then we go off tangent. So I'm gonna let him go a little bit early on this episode to see where it goes. So we'll have Ray go next.
Okay.
Hey, so what's up, everyone? So this topic I found intriguing because, to be honest, before it actually came up, I couldn't think of anyone, I would say, or I didn't have it in mind. It's not that I couldn't think of it, but I didn't have it in mind. You know, it was such an afterthought to me of having a role model. And when the topic came up, two people actually came into my head. So the first one, just to get it out of the way, because it's really cheesy and corny, I got to say the first one is actually my older brother. He's my role model in a sense, because I got to look up to him. He was a guy going through certain challenges and, you know, battles within his own head, and he actually overcame it. And to see the leaps and bounds he has made through his life, and I think a reason why he's a role model to me is he has a good heart. And something that always comes into my head, you know, the guy is full of potential. And I actually told him once, he is actually somebody in my family, I believe, could have whatever he wants. He has the potential to be living the life he wants due to his intelligence. I feel he is the only person stopping him from living the life he wants. But the reason I say he's my role model is because of the heart he has. When you first start working, you know, my dad passed. I was 18. I was a senior in high school. And this guy put a household on his back at, I would say, about 26, 28. And that's when you're supposed to be living your life. You know, you're in your 20s and you're supposed to be enjoying it. And the guy was doing great. He started out as a basic sales rep at a certain call center. I'm not going to plug it because they're not giving us any money. So, yeah, he started out as a basic sales rep, and he just took an act to this thing, you know. The amount of money he was bringing in with bonuses was crazy on a weekly basis. And he kept that up. He kept working. He kept getting better at his craft. He took a challenge to it. This call center whole industry, he saw it as a challenge and tackled it. And he moved up rapidly. I mean, within 3 years, he was the senior operation manager of $1 billion call center. Within 3 years. And that's crazy because the call center was there for about 9 years already, and he surpassed everyone. I mean, there were people there from day one that he surpassed due to his work ethic, his approach to it. Like I said, he's smart. He has a methodical approach to everything he does, and I admire that as well. But like to get to my point, when I said he was a good person with a good heart, when he got this promotion and he saw how much he would be making, he felt guilty. And I always remember that. And that really told me this guy's to feel guilty about your hard work, because he said there's people there that need that money that he's making more than him. That there's single parents there that has families to provide for, and he feels guilty that he's making more money than those parents. And that really stuck with me, man. That some compassion is rare in this world, and to see somebody so close to me have that meant a lot to me. So just to get that out of the way, I can keep going about that, but well, you know, time's sake, we're just gonna go to the next one. And another guy, he's famous, he's an artist as well, and another role model of mine is J. Cole. He's a rapper. And I cannot tell you why this guy means so much to me, you know? Yeah. I stated before that I'm not about this generation I'm in. I'm not about the whole social media, hey, look at me kind of mentality. And that's J. Cole, you know? The guy, he has more money than almost any rapper out there. The guy is pretty much the best rap. He is the best rapper out there, if you ask me. But he's not there. He's not out there on social media trying to plug his album, trying to get all these followers and endorsements. That's not him. He is driven by the pure fact of wanting to be the best, and he's willing to let his work and his lyrics do that for him. Not all the other antics you see stars be doing. And I'm not gonna, try to promote J. Cole any more than I already do. If anybody has my number and they check my statuses, there's probably every 2 weeks a J. Cole post there. But to understand who J. Cole is and to really, I would say if you want to really get into him and you're going to follow his music, 4 songs I can recommend that will do it. Love Yours, Crooked Smile, Lights Please, and Problems. You listen to those 4 songs, you're going to understand what I'm saying. So for in time's sake, that's my role models for that.
Nice. See, so we have another artist that is a role model to a person, and that's nice.
Liked Ray's when he said, "I can't tell you why this person means so much to me." I really understood that because, like I said, when I was talking about BTS in the group, like there's nothing I can say to make you truly feel the amount of like love and respect I have for these people. Like there's no, like I can try to sit here and talk and talk and talk, but I'll never truly be satisfied in what I'm saying because you just can't put that into words. Because these people, even though you don't know them, has probably helped you in a very dark point in your life, or they've helped you in some type of way that you just can't thank them enough and hype them up enough to be like, thank you, And like Ray said, you obviously, one of your first role models will obviously be somebody because you see them every day and you see what they do and you see what they go through. And I really liked how Ray talked about his older brother. Yeah, and I honestly really liked Ray's segment there.
All right, all right. Well, yeah, to touch on what you're saying, V, that is true. It's kind of hard for someone to explain what a role model means to them to someone else, because that role model might not have the same impact or the same they won't have that level of impact to another person that they have to you, because what it means to you is personal and you can't share that emotion with someone else. They have to feel it for themselves. So if they then feel it, then they could relate to you on a different level. Right now you could just express what you feel, but until they feel it for themselves, be it with the same role model that you're speaking of or someone else, then they could relate, oh, well, this was what V meant when she said those things that she said about her role models. Now, I'll segue right into mine's. This is Rennie, by the way. So, what can I say about me and my role models? Like everyone touched on, like your first role model is actually a family member. And when I was younger, it was my uncle. He was my mother's younger brother, but he was my uncle. And I looked at my uncle when I was younger because, coming from the modest upbringing that I had, and my dad, like I touched on the first episode that I was ever here, my dad was in the defense force. So when I was younger, he wasn't around that much when I was younger. So the role model in my early childhood was actually my uncle, which was my mom's younger brother, and he was always successful at the jobs that he did as well. And the thing was that I looked at that, and like any struggles that my mom had when I was a child, it was always to my uncle that she came. And that was what I always kept in the back of my mind. It was like, I want to be that rock for my family, like my brothers and my sister. I want them to come to me as well because I want to be that because I saw the impact that had on my mom. I saw the level of comfort and love that she had in her eyes when she looked at her brother, and that really stuck out to me. And that was my role model when I was younger. It was actually my uncle, and he's still a role model to me up to this day, because I've seen as I've progressed through my life and doing on my life's journey, I've seen my uncle go through up, downs, but he has always been like the center of the family on my mom's side of the family. He has always been the rock. Everyone has come to my uncle. And that's something that I want to take upon myself with the generation that is younger than me for them to come to me. Like, I want to be the one that they can look up to. And now, as I've progressed more and been more exposed to the work environment and everything of the sort, one of my other role models that I looked up to is I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, currently, he's the sixth richest man in the world. He's the president of Berkshire, I believe is the name of the financial company. But Warren Buffett is a role model to me. And that was when I started to venture. Yeah, I started to venture out. Yeah, Berkshire Hathaway he's the CEO of that financial group. Now, he's the sixth richest man currently. But that was when I started to venture out into the employment world. And the reason being is Warren Buffett is a humble person. He was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, the richest man in the world. And after donating billions of dollars to charity, he became the second richest man in the world because of donating billions to charity.
Well, his net worth as of May 2022 is 116 billion.
Yeah,
So
he's the sixth richest right now, the sixth richest. But in 2008, he was the richest, and in that same year, he fell to the second richest because he donated. I'm not sure how much percent of his money to charity, but it was a significant amount that he fell from the richest to the second richest in that same year just by donating to charities. Now, and Warren Buffett lives in the same house that he grew up in as a child. He didn't buy a mansion. He didn't buy whatever rich people look at. He lives in that same house. He still drives the same car that he purchased with his first paycheck. He doesn't have a fleet of cars, anything of the sort. He has pledged in his will to donate 83% of his net worth to charity when he dies. 83% of his net worth will be donated to charity. It will be the Bill and I forgot what his wife's name is, but Bill Gates and his wife, their charity that does. They look out for people that goes through poverty, and they also put kids through school that wants to venture into information technology and things of that sort. That's what Bill Gates and his wife foundation does. But 83% of Warren Buffett's net worth will be donated to that charity when he passes on. Now, Warren Buffett the reason I like him is because he's humble and he's modest. He actually had an adopted niece that he wrote out of his family. He disowned her. And the reason he disowned her was she actually did these celebrity things, these documentaries about rich people and things of that sort, and how it is when you're born into money and being fortunate, being more fortunate than others, and the lifestyle that you can have when you come into those kind of money, when you're born into those kind of money. So he actually disowned her. He wrote her. He wrote her out the will. She will get nothing because of partaking in those documentaries. And even at that, he actually has not. There's a funny story about Warren Buffett. His granddaughter, his granddaughter wanted to put an extension on a house, right? Now, Warren Buffett could have actually just given her the money and it would be like pennies out of his pocket to build an extension on a house. But he told her, no, that's not the way the real world works. Go to the bank, get a loan, and pay it back. He has not given his kids or his grandkids any money. His daughter wanted to start a business, and similar to what he did with his granddaughter, he didn't give her the money to start the business. She's like, normal people has to go to the bank, and that's how they get their business off the ground. So that's what you will need to do as well. No one handed me anything. I'm not going to give you guys anything as well. You guys are going to learn the same way. Now, he has them written in his will because he's given away 83% of his fortune, but they'll get the remaining, what remains behind. But now, the thing was just the way he's so modest and the way that he goes about, and his adopted niece really said that you give so much money to charity, you give so much money to this, that. You give money to people you don't even know. And you're like a miser when it comes to your own family. You don't want to give them anything. We, we, we literally have to be begging you for stuff. But you give away billions of dollars to charity to people you don't know. And that's a part of the story that continues along where why he disowned her and things of that sort. And yeah, that was someone that I looked up to when I was in the employment field. And it is why I actually, you know, people that knows me and knows the person that spoke before me, Ray, they'll know that that is my little brother. Ray is my little brother. Now, what he was referring to is, yes, I worked at a leading call center in our country, and I have big dreams and big hopes that that would be the leading industry in the country pretty soon. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing was, it wasn't. Let me tie this all in because when I was working, the scenario that Ray brought up was that I looked at it and when I was working, I was advancing fast through the ranks, but it was because of my work ethic and my dedication. I was dedicated. If the company needed someone to come in 1 in the morning and work until 3 in the afternoon of the following day, I would do it. No questions asked, no nothing. Just give me 1 day notice and I'll get it done for you. And that's how I kept proceeding up the ladder and everything of the sort. But the more that I climbed up the ladder and I went to the rung just under director at the company, the reason I was looking at it was like, yes, I was helping my family due to the fact that, my dad had passed and everything of the sort. But it was like, you have people that are working at this company, and I could understand that they don't have the dedication that I have, but I've seen these people struggle to come to work, single mothers coming to work, don't know how their kids are being. And to every promotion I got, the funny thing is, I came to my uncle, who I said was my role model from the first one. And to every promotion I got, I sit with him and I ask, like, what is happening? I don't feel right. I'm being promoted, but I don't feel right. And he's like, you just got to take on challenges. It's because it's a challenge and you're not accustomed to it. Your mind is trying to make barriers for you, and you just got to cross over the barriers, right? But which leads me to my last role model that I have in my life, because I was progressing so fast that I went astray. I went astray, and I lost my way, and I did a lot of stupid things that, we're humans and we make mistakes. The thing is, we got to learn from them. But my last role model is also my little brother. And this is why it leads me back to our episode that we had previously, when I said that we could go one of two directions. We touched on it when we did Batman and Joker and Superman, that the scales go in either direction. Me and my little brother has the same upbringing, the same exact upbringing. And alcohol played a big role in it. It played a huge role in our upbringing. And the thing was that I used it as an excuse to constantly be drinking. Like, I drank and I drank and I drank, and I used it as a crutch to say, oh well, it was the way I was brought up. But my little brother was brought up the same way, and he rarely ever drinks. He drinks on occasions, but rarely ever drinks. And he sat with me, and when I was going down my downward spiral, he sat with me and he was talking to me, and he said, "You are someone I look up to, and look at what you're doing with yourself and everything of the sort." And that was the day that when he touched on it, and he says, "I was going through my struggles and I turned it around." It's still a fight. Up to this day, it's still a fight to not get back into old habits that I want to do so bad. But I see my little brother, and he never like, he would have got angry with me. He got upset. We had our quarrels. We had our bickers. We had huge tension between us. But he never once just shunned me out, where to the point that he was like, I didn't want nothing else to do with him. Yes, he got to points where he got truly upset, and I can't blame him for that. But the thing was, he never shunned me out. He never ever just said, you know what, I'm done with him. I don't want anything to do with him. He always kept trying with me and trying with me, to the point that I know I was frustrating him till no more. But that is what made him become one of my role models. Because I'm someone that, if me and you have an issue, I want to turn my back on you. I want nothing else to do with you. But my little brother became my role model, because he showed me that's not the way. You got to work with people and try with people as much as you can, till eventually maybe you reach an end where it just doesn't work, but it's on a mutual understanding. It's not just out of anger or resentment, but it's to a mutual understanding. And that is where I am right now. I'm not certain if I'll have more role models to come, or these will be my only role models, but that's where I am at this time. And like, to touch on where Ray was in his first one, like, it's been a long time. I think since my mom passed, it's been a long time that I haven't been really happy. I still don't think I'm truly happy, but I'm happier than I was when I was in those dark areas. And it's all because of the role models that I listed to you. I kept looking at them and kept thinking about them and the way they handle situations. And that's what pulled me out of the areas that I was in. And like, I'm not happy to the point, but I'm happier than where I was. So That is basically my role models and my story of where I am at this particular time.
I think it's nice that there's like some kind of healing that's happening between you and your brother. You know that you guys said that. You know you got V emotional about it, even talking about it. I think a lot of people they don't really mention to their siblings that you've been a role model to me or whatever. You know, it's always the older folks get it, like a mother or dad or uncle or somebody. But to hear it coming from two brothers, I think it's nice. And I believe it's Miss J that's up next with her role model or role models. Everyone went to two, Rennie went to three. You know, we didn't put a cap on how many role models you can have. So, yeah, Miss J.
Well, I have I think I have role models for different things. Um, Growing up, like when I was a child, of course, my first role model is my mom. Um, she was my role model because I saw how hard she was working as a single mother to raise my brother and I, because it was no joke to do that. Um, she had to do, because my brother and I, we were young, so we couldn't help her in a sense that she was going through a lot. You know, she was going through the heartbreak with my dad, that my dad left. My dad left her like with a lot of debts, you know. He just left her in like a really bad situation, and she didn't have time to like break down and be like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? She literally just like cried for a day. She literally just cried for a day, and she just got up, like she got on her feet and just started to work and get me through school, you know. My brother chipped in too, and like she really did a lot. And then I really admired her for that. Like I wanted to be someone strong like that, you know. I wanted to face any situation like her where she won't give her time, like herself, sometimes to just be like, okay, how do I do this now? She always has like a idea on how to deal with stuff. So I really admire that with her. But growing up, like, you know, when you go through like your teenage phase, you know, you start looking at other stuff. And then my mom, she was stuck in like a old school, like a weird old school situation. So she was still my role model in that sense, to face situations like what she faced. But I was looking for a role model to teach me how to face the world, because my mom was sheltering me from the world because she already faced the world and it was scary for her. So I understand why she was so like protective over me and both my brother and I. So she wasn't really someone where I could like go to her and be like, Mom, why is this happening? Or Mom, why do I feel this way? Or Mom, you know, I couldn't, because she was terrified when I brought up something like the outside world. So my brother and I, we grew up very sheltered. So my brother learned about life in a very hard way, and but now he's okay, you know, like sort of okay. But so I was the same way. So I was literally looking for someone I could be like, okay, so how does this world work? Because the way my mom was saying that the world is scary, and it's better to avoid life so you don't get into situations. And I, now that I'm older, I understand that's not how life works. You can't run away from life, because life is right there, and then life brings good and bad. So I was just looking, and I had no luck. So I, like everyone, I turned to music. Music was my role model. It's not really one person, it's just music in general. Like whenever I was feeling sad, I would listen to music. When I was feeling angry, I listened to music. When I was feeling happy, I listened to music. My favorite music band was Linkin Park. I love them up to today. So it was mostly them. But I really tried around my teenage and young adulthood. I really tried to find different role models, but I really couldn't find it. Now that I was turning into an adult, I was really getting like desperate because then I really didn't know how to handle life. I felt like maybe like bricks were just falling on top of me, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I felt life started to feel very heavy because at this point I was handling life by myself, like on my own, because my mom, she was trying really hard to protect me from life, so I didn't really have anyone to help me with that. Then I met this nice lady. Her name is Miss Petty. She was my brother's boss first, and then she became my boss. And it was her and her husband, Mr. Cervantes. The last name is Cervantes. And when I met them, they were so nice. They literally opened a door to show me that I had all rights to feel. I had all rights to have an opinion. Like they literally told me I had rights to be a human being, because I didn't know I had that rights. And Miss Petty, she was a very religious person, so she was like, go to God, like use God as a role model. She, although I felt alone, I wasn't really alone. So I tried that. But I felt like I was already too damaged, that I tried so hard, but I wasn't ready back then because I was still young. I still felt life too much, and I didn't know how to handle it. Basically, I didn't know how to handle life, and like I just literally wanted another human being to guide me, but I couldn't find anyone. And then but I did with Miss Petty mostly, because she tried to really guide me on it. And like I said, I did it, but I strayed afterwards because again, I wanted like a human being. So now that I'm more of an adult, I got a boyfriend, right? And that was like the biggest, like most scariest part of my life, because again, my mom was very sheltered. Like boys were like poison to my life. Like she was like, no, like stay away from boys, right? Which again, I understood her, because she was hurt a lot by like males, so I understood her. So it was like a battle with her to have a male significant, although she wanted me to have a male significant, but she didn't want me to have one. So it was really confusing, but it was a battle. So I crossed that bridge, and I ended up having a male significant. It's still a battle now, because she's still trying to protect me. Like she's just, I think she's very scared, and I think she knows that by her sheltering me, she feels like I don't know how to handle situation. But I feel like I'm more stronger now than back then. But anyway, I found a role model with my boyfriend, because I love the way he expressed himself. He's very opinionated, and like, that's the word, right? Opinionated, yes. So I like that, because I'm not like that. I keep things to myself till I snap, and then when I snap, I instantly regret it. because like I say things like really mean stuff to people, and then I'm like, oh my god, I shouldn't have said that. But that's due to me keeping everything inside, and then I don't tell the person, like whoever hurts me, I don't tell them like right there and then, like, yo, this really hurts, like stop. I just keep it in until I can't no more, and then I'm like, I burst. And but when I met my boyfriend, he wasn't like that. When something bothered him, you know, he would say it. Like he'll tell you, like this is bothering me, you know. And he, told me, like when I got to know him, he told me his story, how like, you know, some part of his life he felt alone and stuff, and he got out of that. And I was like, I wish I could have been like that, like because I felt lonely too in my life, but I didn't know what to grip on, so I was like, but so when he invited me to his family, like now at this point in my life, his whole family is my role model, like a whole family, because like I said, I have role models for different things, like my boyfriend, he's my role model for me wanting to be outspoken. He always encourages me to be outspoken, like, talk, like tell everyone how you feel. It's hard for me still because, like I said, I've always been like shut down. I've always been dominated. That's the word. Like I've always been dominated. So it's hard for me. I'm working on it. My boyfriend's mom, I love how she handles her family. Like she's different than my mom. Like I love my mom to the sense that she's very strong when facing life. But then my boyfriend's mom, she's very loving. Like she showed me that part that I'm allowed to be loving too. Like me being nice and being loving isn't wrong, because I felt like that's why people kept walking over me, because I was nice. But she's showing me now that it's not bad. But I just need to find a balance, and like I really admire that. Like I really admire that I found someone that has almost the same qualities, that like she's very nice, but at the same time she knows when to draw a line. Like she knows when to be like, no, you gotta stop. My boyfriend's sister as well, like she's very I love how she faced a lot of stuff and she got out of it. She had a bump in her life, that she like how to say it? She's defeating like all causes that I feel like, for example, education, right? Everyone says you have to have the papers, but she's very knowledgeable. Like she's very she like the way I see her, she has more knowledge of life and of different things that I admire. She knows how to take that leadership skills. She's very outspoken. She just knows how to be a warrior, like things that I want to be. So basically that. And then also my boyfriend's dad, I admire him for change, because to me I feel like change was impossible. I feel like I felt like it was a lost cause for me, but I saw him change. In a sense, I can't really tell stories because that's up to them to tell the story, but I just saw him change. So I was like, okay, so I still have hope. So basically for me, my role model is like, for now, is a whole family that just brings me hope. Okay.
So nice, Jim.
Yeah. So, like you said, majority of people, they're like we keep saying, majority of the time is role models are our family. And family, you have two types of family. You have family that are blood, that you're born into, and you have family. Yeah, you have family that are blood. You're born into your family. That one you can't choose. That one is given to you. So you just try to adapt to coexist with what you were given, because that wasn't by choice. And from there, you have the family that you choose. Now, who we choose to surround ourselves with, that is our family as well, whether it be blood or not. Like, whoever is there for you, whoever is a support outlet for you, that is family as well. And we have one more person to go, and that would be V. I'm sorry, V already went. That would be Victor. So Victor would be our last speaker for tonight, and then we probably be wrapping up. But we'll have Victor go now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, guys. Victor Q here. Uh, Known to these guys as Nisho, better. Well, let me just start with the meaning of role model. So the meaning of a role model is a person looked to by others as an example to be imitated. So imitated means like you look at something and you go like, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to be like these people. So there's many phases for me growing up from a kid. I think my first role model was Barney. That's a known fact for the family. I was crazy about Barney. And that gave me like the little music background that I have in my life now. Like that they did, everything was a song. And it was loving, I love you, you love me. Yeah. So and from there I got older, and basketball. Basketball became a big part of my life. I think my two cousins know this. They know that basketball became nearly all I could have talked about and think about. Either it was playing it in real life or playing it on video games. My idol was Kobe Bryant. And January 26, 2020 was a very tough day for me. I think my girlfriend at the time, like she was like, at the time she was like, "What, really?" Like, but I was paused for that day. I told her, "Babe, I'm not feeling good. Kobe Bryant died," and she was like, "Okay," like And I told her, and I had to give her like the back history. Like, growing up, I saw my cousins mainly on the weekend, right? Because we had this whole school thing, We didn't have cars. We didn't want to walk to each other's house. We lived distance away too. And so for me, I would have like, I'm not a big school person. I said this already. I would do like half an hour homework, study. That fell in a half an hour. And then I was glued to the TV, TNT, Thursday night, or Wednesday night, ESPN, or anytime or any channel that was showing it. And the Los Angeles Lakers was a big thing in that time. Kobe Bryant was a big thing. Kobe and Shaq. And the reason why I picked Kobe and not Shaq, one, I was a big guy. I was a big kid. So, sorry, forgive me. Big kids don't look to big people as role models. I looked at the slender, sexier guy that was scoring the points, that was taking the deep trees. The girls were looking at him. That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be Kobe Bryant. He was vicious on the court. He's the one that came up with the famous phrase of the Mamba mentality. He had his camps that kids came in. Many various superstars right now that are in the league went to his camp and then got this Mamba mentality. He was the only guy that made me feel that one man can make a difference. There's no other sport like basketball to me. There's none. On the football field, as in soccer or American football, one man can't take over the game. I've tried to see it. I've looked at it. You have to explain it to me if you see it different. But one man can't take over the game in these other sports. In baseball, one man comes in, he can't dictate the way the game goes. But in basketball, you can. If he's a defensive stopper, which Kobe Bryant was, he was a defensive player and a half. And he was also an offensive threat. He had the second highest scoring in NBA history at 81 points. This man, on his day that he was retiring, I had a choice to either see the famous Golden State Warriors get their 73-9 record or watch Kobe Bryant play for his last game. I don't even have to tell you what I watched. I watched the last game, and on that night, Kobe Bean Bryant scored 60 points. He had everyone in that place cheering and loving him so much. The world was watching that game. I'm so sorry that Golden State Warriors couldn't get all the attention that night. I'm kidding, I'm not sorry. But he showed me how many people can love you and you don't even know everyone. You don't know how you can reach out to somebody, how you're doing your own thing and you're not even realizing that someone is admiring the stuff that you do. Keeping your statistics and could throw it back to you and you'll be like, what, really, I did that? No. That's what Kobe did for me. You know? And even if I saw the guy, I wouldn't ask him for an autograph because I know the personality that he is. Right? I would want it, but I would never go up to him and beg him and ask him for it. I wouldn't. Because that's not the person that he is. And I am a part of the Mamba Academy in a sense. Right? So the day he died, and it was so hard that you realize that not only he didn't die alone, but he died with the pilot, and the pilot was carrying a family with a gentleman with his daughter. They were flying out to go to Kobe Bryant's daughter league that she was playing in. Do you understand? And he knows how crazy the traffic is, that it's just easier to go through a helicopter. And his daughter, her father was the biggest idol for her, you know, like the biggest role model. I have him. And these two, a daughter and a father, like their connection with basketball was so much that the other daughters don't even love basketball as much as his daughter did. Gianna, and they call her Gigi. And the mother said something that was so heartbreaking that she said, God knows what he was doing because none of them could have lived without each other. The daughter couldn't live without her father, and the father wouldn't have lived without his daughter. So that was like, I feel like I was there hearing about somebody that I knew I grew up with. Because I grew up with him. I saw him, he was playing way before I could. He came in the league 1996, and he was out 2016, right? So I saw everything he went through, different injuries, how he tried to take the LA Lakers, and I applied it to my life. As in, if I get a broken thumb, Kobe he made someone pull it back in place. So if I got a broken thumb, I would just put it back in place. If something happened, I would just rub dirt on it. I would just keep going. I would just get up, keep going. He gave me that, you know. Then I would say I was 25 years old. I always give my sister and my girlfriend this story that when I reached 25, I looked at it and I said, do you know where my father is when he was 25? He had me. He had a son. He had to grow up at 25. I'm 25 right now, and I'm not even half. Like, I don't even feel like I'm growing up. I feel like a kid still, you know? I have nothing to show. So what I'm going to do is do the opposite. I'm going to be like the complete opposite as I was for the past 25 years and see if I can make a change. In that, I'm only 30. In 5 years, I've seen a difference. I've seen a difference. My mom is my next role model. She not only made me take the things that I idolized from Kobe, but she made it make sense in a peaceful way. You know, you keep your competitive drive, but don't destroy people while achieving it. But as in, look at other people and see and cherish what they can give you. Her favorite quote to everybody is, "Thank you for your sharing." Right? And I got the meaning behind it, that when you share a part of you with somebody, no matter what it is, what you say to a person, you can learn something. You can learn something by sharing thoughts, ideas, even arguing, you learn, you know? And I looked at my mom, and she told me back one day that I've lived longer than you and I don't have anything either. You're only 25, take it easy, relax, you know? And to me, that made me, it eased me down a little bit. Because, like I said, my competitive drive is like a basketball player. I need to be achieving stuff. I need to be seeing things, you know? And at the same time, I don't think that I was progressing in a sense in that way. But the journey is different for everybody, you know? I looked at my mom and I realized that she gave me a great life. Up to this point, it's great, you know? And I always tell my little sister that I want my kids to look at me like the way I look at my mom. I can be tired, I can be alone. Then my mom walks into the room and it's like everything changes. The whole room shifts. I'm okay. This is safe haven. This is relaxed. And that's what I want to give to my kids at some point, you know? I want to make them be like, where's dad? Where's my dad? And they'll just be giving off love, you know, seeing me, right? To just point out one role model would be unfair, but that is, like, she is my biggest role model. I want to be like my mom, you know, take it as it is, a mama's boy or whatever, but my mom's my biggest role model at this point in my life. I have different people that I wouldn't say are role models to me, but people that I acknowledge for what they're doing, you know? My sister, the other day I was having, like, just rapport with my dad, and I was telling her that, you know, your daughter is, like, so smart that if she would just have a simple little paper that the sky is the limit for her and she needs to realize that. And he was like, yeah, I know, you know? My dad's a guy of few words, you know. Hearing that he says more than those few words is surprising to me. But my dad is a role model for people. He's a person, a big impactful person in my life. My two cousins, they're a big part of my life. My story, my girlfriend can even like say it's true. My story doesn't start or make sense without these people, you know, without my sister, without my mom, without my dad, without my cousin, without the many things that happened to me in my past with people basically telling me anything that comes to their mouth, you know. That's always been a chip that I had to carry on my shoulder, that people quickly wants to say, bye, fat boy, or bye, you only stupid, you know. Like, these are things that they said to me. And to hear these things come from, like, a teacher, because it once happened to me in a classroom. And to hear these things come from teachers that are supposed to be so-called role models, though. You notice at this time around this table, no one mentioned a teacher. No one mentioned a teacher. These people are supposed to inspire people. No one mentioned a teacher. No one mentioned a police officer. No one mentioned a lawyer. No one mentioned anybody of these standards, like even politicians, you know? And I think Belize lack a lot of role models that we look towards. We have to look towards our family. We have to look towards our mothers. And everyone mentioned their mother around the table. People have to look to their fathers, you know? And look at the kids that are born in I don't like to call it the ghetto, you know? Because when you see ghetto, you label it as in something that everybody already knows what it is. But I would say like low-income neighborhoods So you look at them, and I saw it a day. I was with my girlfriend in her area. She lives around an alley, and there was a rabbit. There was a rabbit bouncing around, and a bunch of kids, tough looking kids. I wouldn't want to be a kid walking to those kids, you know. But they looked at the rabbit and they were like, "Boy, look on the rabbit," and then chased the rabbit. No intention of catching the rabbit, but killing the rabbit. And then the guy, the little ringleader, looked at me and he said, "Boss, me a dollar?" I looked at him and I said, "No." I could have given him $1, but I said no, because what you did just now was like, it was a poor display of what you were going to catch the rabbit to do. But then I got a thought and I said, this is how these gang members recruit these little kids. They give themselves off as a role model. They make money be the main, how can I say it, the main thing that attracts these kids to think that these are their role models and all. And when you imagine if Kobe Bryant would tell me, "Man, I need you to go down the street and get this thing from his belly," or "Man, I need you to go down the street, hurt this guy." You trusting and loving the role models that everyone just said. Imagine these role models setting you up to do something disgusting or nasty or harmful to an next person. You would do it because that's your role model. So I think Belize needs more role models. And I think that the ministers are not doing a good job about being role models. We have nobody to look up to at all in this place we call Belize. From Corozal to Toledo, there's no role models. I wish that someone could come and point it out to me. This is a role model, and give me all, and I would say no, because I'd have heard about the person. I would have heard about the change that the person has done to a person's life. Positive, not negative. Positive. So that's it for me. I got 2 role models that I'm gonna just highlight today. I could go on and talk about more people, but main role models for me, Kobe Bryant and Maria Imelda Parente Quinones. Those are my 2.
Well, that's nice, guys. And the thing is that when everyone is speaking, I keep listening to everyone, and I don't think it's wrong for me to say that we look up to people and we call them role models, but we got to understand that no one is perfect. There isn't a perfect person on the face of the world currently walking. So no one is perfect, but what makes someone a good role model is for you to show that you can go through struggles and turn and come out a better person going through your struggles, and that's what makes a good role model. Anyone could be a role model, and the thing is that we need to have role models in our country for the younger people as well, the same way that we look up to these people as our role models, and we strive to be like these people, or at least try to have them show us the ways of adjusting with our complications to be a better person. I think the ultimate goal for us as well is for us to relay that same path to other people. Now, it doesn't take you to actually go out there and grab young kids, but just the way by the way we live don't go grabbing young kids. That is a criminal offense. So don't do that. Yeah, that is not a good trait of a role model. Don't grab these kids. But what I mean is that you just the way you live your life, and I think that's why all of us on this table touched on our parents, because like the more we're growing up now, the more we appreciate our parents more than when we were a bit younger, than, because what we might have looked at as like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? It's just because parents, they don't sit and give you the reason as to why they do what they do. But I believe that majority of parents, and that's why all of us said that on as our role models, or a elderly family member, if you didn't say an exact parent. But it's because we see them and we see what they did, and we are like, okay, we're understanding it now. But every parent, they truly, I believe every parent truly wants the best for their child, and I think that's why they're every children's first role model, because they do want the best, but some of them just unfortunately doesn't know how to show it. But at the end of the day, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. We really touched on a lot of things. We really internalized a lot of things. We brought a lot of things out there. More and more, everyone is becoming more and more familiar with us, and it takes a series of events to make up a person. All right, so I'll pose it back out there before we wrap up. Is there anyone that wants to say anything?
I just think that I'll touch on our country that we live in. Not having a lot of role models, or positive ones anyway. I think it speaks volumes here that I think Victor said it as well, how none of us brought up our leaders here in our country. So like the prime minister and ministers or whatever. Because I've noticed everyone here kind of, outside of family, we've all went in a very different direction away from home. And I do think what Renee said about trying to be better role models for our youth, so they can at least look up to somebody in their country that they can say, that person's a role model for me. Because we could look up to like Ray, J. Cole, Victor, Kobe, but in reality, the chances of us being like them is very small. So I think we really need a positive role model in our country, because then that would be a little bit more achievable in a way. And yeah, I really liked everybody's different takes on it this week. I really enjoyed Jackie's and Ray's. Jay's. Sorry. Wait. Okay. I really enjoyed Jay's and Ray's sharing this week. Just because I feel like theirs were very heartfelt and open. Not that the rest of us weren't, but they were very open and raw with us this week. And I think, those are my two favorite sharings.
It's like you said, the 5 qualities of a positive role models: passion, ability to inspire, clear set of values. Role models live their lives, values in the world, commitment to community, selflessness and acceptance of others, ability to overcome obstacles, right? Like I said, with my two people, I don't want to go over it again, but we have a lot of similarities, other than one of them just being my mom. Like me and Kobe, we were parts of him living in America and then going over to France. I grew up in Belize City and I had to move to Corozal, and like there was a whole different language there. So these are the reason why I believe there's something to the role models that we chose. With Rene's one, he caught me off guard. That's why he had this only his little brother knows that. I didn't think Rene was gonna go with like a big celebrity or anybody, but I thought it was gonna be somebody that I knew. I didn't know he was gonna be an all white guy. You know, like if you look at Renee, then you look at the guy, you would say, "Whoa, how?" But you know, everyone chose the role models for a reason. You know, and hopefully we can be role models for someone. We never know, we're inspiring somebody small or older. You don't know.
And that's why, like I brought up, my little brother is my role model as well. A lot of people like to feel as if a role model has to be, Victor touched on it. A lot of people like to feel like a role model should be older. It doesn't have to be. Anyone displaying the traits that you want to exhibit, that's a role model to you. Now, at the end of the day, for anyone listening to this that feels as if there is nothing out there good, or there's no role models that they can look up to, life is perspective. And at the end of the day, if you're not seeing something that you want to strive towards becoming, then become what you want to become, and use the negative that you're seeing as your fuel. What I mean by that is, you might not see something that you want to become, but you're seeing things that you don't want to become, and that you do the opposite of it. So if all you're seeing is negative in your life, and you know you don't want to be like that, use that as your fuel. You don't know what you want to become, but you know what you don't want to become. So use that as your fuel. For the 501 Social Podcast, we'll be wrapping this episode up. So for Rena, until we see again.
Right?
J. B.
My boy Victor Kinos, aka Q, aka Nisha. Adios. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe to the 501 Social Podcast. Follow us on our various platforms. Thanks.